It's the Craggy Rugby podcast. The final game of the season in Sports Ground. Connacht are about to leave the field. Okay, Danny. Clan stand is pretty full. The far side is pretty full. Even both ends look as though they're going to get pretty full. Last home game of the season. Connacht need to win. I didn't see the final result for Munster. Did they win it in the end?
I think they did. But more importantly, they'd already gotten the bonus points, so I think they're going to be out of reach for Connacht. So it's not looking good. But there's a great buzz in the sports ground. Really looking forward to this now. I was a little bit nervous at the start of the week, but I don't know. I'm completely changed now. I'm really feeling that. I think it's just the atmosphere from the fans. I feel like the players are going to feed off that.
Yeah, I hope so. The rain that lasted for the last 2 or 3 hours seems to have disappeared. No sign of it. There's a bit of a breeze, but it's only a breeze. So yeah, it's all there for Connacht.
Yeah, but it's a sports ground. That can change in 2 seconds.
Yeah, we'll see. All right, folks. I don't know if Emma will say anything. What are your thoughts, Emma? Last game of the season?
Excited to see what we can pull together. Mixed emotions with some of the lads who are moving on. Yeah, I think it's great to see them one last run out, but yeah, disappointed to see the likes of Marmion and Delahunt moving on.
Yeah, not good. But okay, let's focus on the match. We'll talk about that afterwards. Okay, just coming up to 20 minutes. Connacht lead 12-0. It's all good for Connacht. As Cardiff are down to 14 men as well, Danny. So we're nearly there. Nearly have the bonus point win. Or am I being a bit too optimistic?
Maybe a little bit. We still got 60 minutes to play. But it is looking good for Connacht. 2 standouts for me is Josh Murphy. He's working like a dog, making loads of tackles in and around the pitch. And Jimmy Kilgallen's really surprising Cardiff with his footwork. For a man that's 6'5", I really don't expect... They haven't been expecting how fastly he can move. But it's been a good defensive effort from Connacht. They just need to keep it going.
Yeah. Tries from Kilgallen and Dylan Tierney-Martin as Connacht get a penalty with some good defensive work. We'll talk again at half-time. Okay, Danny, half-time score. Connacht 26, Cardiff 7. My optimism earlier on has been proven to be correct so far. Now, admittedly, Cardiff will have a bit of a breeze in the second half, but Connacht are playing great rugby.
They are. They're looking good on both attack and defence. Cardiff don't seem to be up so much, really, and I think that's down to more Connacht not giving them a chance more than anything. Cardiff are also their own worst enemies, giving away 5 penalties there in that half. Connacht are giving away 3, one just being on the end, which they missed the kick to the corner, which is going to play on their minds as well. You know?
Well, but it was a brilliant piece of play from Mac Hansen to pirouette in the air, catch it, and then just nick it into touch at the same time. So, and he's done a couple of brilliant things, as well as scoring a try. I think Conor Onover scored the other try to make it the 4 tries. But it's a really impressive display. What we're seeing is the physicality Connacht had against Edinburgh is there again.
It's not just the physicality; it's the work rate. You don't see too many guys lying in rucks. You don't see many guys kind of not working around the corner. There's a lot of emphasis of getting up, getting in the line. There's a lot of talk going on as well. There's a lot of guys chatting and making sure everything is kind of clear and everyone knows what they're doing. It's really, really impressive to watch.
Certainly is, and Bunyaki's having probably his best game in about 2 years, which is great to see as well. We'll talk again on 60 minutes. Okay, Danny, we're just coming up to 60 minutes. One of the Welsh players is down. Connacht lead 26-12, but it's been all Cardiff in this second half.
It has, but they're failing to convert. They've been in Connacht's 22 4 times and only come away with a try once. They've overthrown 3 times from massive pressure from Niall Murray and Josh Murphy, but I believe Murphy's just come off the pitch and Dowling's come on, so there's been subs on both sides, so it'll be interesting to see how we restart, because this looks like a pretty serious injury for the Cardiff player.
Yeah, I think it's Owen Lane. I think he banged his head as he came down, going up for a high ball alongside Mac Hansen. But they picked the 6-2 bench. They've got the wind. They've now brought on their better front row than their starting front row, and they have been getting on top. So could be a very nasty last 20 minutes for Connacht.
Well, they're not really doing anything with it. There's no imagination with them at all. They don't seem to have attacking threat from the 10, which Connacht are just completely brushing off and going straight to the centre. So they don't really have too much penetration. So if Connacht can keep up the defence, they'll be fine. But there does look to be a bit of a nastiness coming in from Cardiff, they're getting frustrated. So if Connacht can start winding them up, then we might see a couple more penalties go Connacht's way, because Connacht have given away 3 penalties this half, and Cardiff have given away nothing.
Yeah, well, let's hope this. I think it's Owen Lane. Let's hope he's okay. We'll talk again on 60 minutes. Okay, Danny, final score, Connacht 38, Cardiff 19. Relatively easy win in the end.
Yeah, look, the scoreline flattered Connacht a lot at the end. Cardiff put on a lot of pressure, but some serious defensive work done by Connacht kept them out. Cardiff had 8 entries into the Connacht's 22 in the second half, only came away scores twice. Like, Connacht went into theirs 3 times and scored twice as well, you know. When it mattered, Connacht turned it up again and just killed off the game. It was very, very dominant and impressive display from Connacht.
Certainly was. Okay, here's the post-match press conference.
Well, it's only taken 5 years, Andy, but we've got 2 microphones. So, you know, it's a big night. Congratulations. The job is still ongoing, but the first thing has been garnered. When we spoke in Pretoria and it was 0-3, you said we will make qualification. It looked a forlorn hope when it went 1-4, but since then the performances, particularly in the wins, maybe not so much in the interprovincials, but big nights here, you've gone on a run, and it must feel very satisfying to be in that position with a game left.
Yeah, it is really satisfying. I'm the eternal optimist, so I'll always say we will. But I honestly have felt the whole time that we can do it, and I haven't even looked at the table, so you can tell me whether we're in or we're out. But we know we've got another game to go, and we want to try and get as high up that ladder as we can. But listen, it's a real credit to all the staff. Pete Wilkins, as our head coach this year, has done an incredible job, as have all the other coaches. Devolt Senegal, as you've seen again there tonight. Some great work with our Moore and our line-out. Cully Tucker, our breakdown work's just been outstanding. What he's done with our scrum is just phenomenal. And the close quarter stuff, what we call war, he's been very, very good. And then you got Mossy Lawler, some of our launch stuff. You know, you talk to coaches post-games and they say you're the hardest team to break down. Well, that's all on Mossy. So they've done a great job. Our support staff, you know, our medical team led by Dave Hanley, gets our players back out there on the field. Gav Rackard looks after nutrition. Mikey Kiley and all his crew. Strength-wise, we're the strongest we've ever been. We're the fittest we've ever been. So yeah, everything will always point to probably the bloke who sits at the top, which is me. But honestly, I've got a great staff working for us. And then you've got the players who, led by Jack Carty, Jared Butler, just they're good men. And you know, they keep growing, they keep building. And so the wins come from a lot of hard work, a lot of people, and it's just really pleasing for me to see those efforts get rewarded.
The work rate tonight was significant in that game. There was a lot of off-the-ball play that was required, a lot of hard running, a lot of covering, and just grim determination to get there and win the ball first or make the tackle first or drive the player back. That has been something that has been waiting for a while to come to fruition for you, but it's come in the last couple of home games, particularly Edinburgh and tonight. Yeah,
and I thought there was a period there, and I don't know how many rucks they had, but to me it was definitely over about 30. But we just kept coming, and then you know, that sort of spirit and that sort of desire, and even at the death, you know, Bundy gets underneath to hold up that last. Yeah, well, they end up scoring a try, but for us to get that goal line dropout, you know, that's the game's dead. But there's still a want and a need and a desire to make sure we hold them out. So that shows the character and the attitude of the players, which is really important. So again, you know, I think as coaches, deserve to be very proud of that.
Kieran Marmion got a try. He got a hell of an ovation coming on, and then he goes and gets a try, which I suppose is fairy tale stuff, but very well deserved.
Yeah, I just said to him, "Oh, what a brilliant try!" He said, "Just popped up, friendly." You know what he's like. He's very unassuming, but. Listen, he as well as, you know, the other 7 men that are leaving, they've had significant impact on this province and on this rugby team, and you can only wish them all the very best for their future.
Now, when you get a chance to draw a breath and have a look at the table and have a look at Glasgow next week, it's going to be a challenging game. It's not one of Connacht's favourite hunting grounds, but they have a European semi-final coming the following week against Scarlets, who they beat last night in a bit of an epic in a monsoon. Where will you be setting up for that? When do you have to switch off from tonight's game and get ready to go for that?
Yeah, that'll happen. It'll happen tomorrow for the coaches. It'll probably happen on Monday morning for the players. So it's no different, and as you say, we haven't had the greatest success over there. Certainly in the time that I've been here, but I think the one significant difference is we've never had a 4G pitch, and now we have. And I've always felt, against Glasgow in particular, we've always felt like we're half a yard behind them because they're quicker on that pitch. But again, you watch the way the boys are playing at the moment. We've been training on that now, but that's becoming our happy place, is to get on that surface and to play. So I'm really excited by the challenge, to be honest. A lot of respect for Glasgow and what they've done this season, but it's another game of rugby for us, and I know coming out of tonight we'll take some confidence into that.
I suppose the supporters, maybe looking at it from the outside, would have bitten your hand off to be in this position with one game left. So it's a real opportunity to go and seize that and run with it, and you never know where it might take you. No,
that's right, and that's the message downstairs. It's a tricky night tonight because we're saying goodbye, but we've still got games to play, and we've got a massive game next week, and then into knockout stages, and so you want to acknowledge that this is the last home game for people that are leaving, but at the same time, it's not about downing tools now. It's about let's acknowledge that. Let's be respectful in terms of thanking those people and the contributions they've made, but let's know that we've got next week and then hopefully a few more weeks beyond that where we've still got a lot of rugby to play for.
Well, it's a great night tonight. Thoroughly enjoyable game to be at, and we look forward to next Saturday in Glasgow.
Good on you. Thanks, William.
But is there a tinge of sadness in that, or is it just job done? We're going forward, we've still got plenty of rugby to play.
Yeah, obviously it's emotional playing the last home game here. I think we put ourselves in a good position to go to Glasgow now, which is the main thing. I think we've got a bit of momentum behind us, especially after the last few home games. So we're just trying to push on as far as we can in this competition and see how far we can go.
And is that that's a good driving force for you, even in the maybe slightly tricky position you're in?
Yeah, I mean, as far as we can go, the better it is. Hopefully a few more games left and hopefully finish on a high.
The last two home games have been pretty special, performance against Edinburgh, but tonight, tempted to say Cardiff were maybe a bit more up for it than Edinburgh, where it was hard out there. There was a lot of defensive effort all the way through the game.
Yeah, I mean, Cardiff, always a tricky game for us. I think we've slipped up a few times in the past, so yeah, I think the last few home games we've put in good performances. I think just taking that into away games now is the main thing. I think we've slipped up the last against Treviso, and we haven't put in some great performances against Dragons and Zebra, so hopefully now we can take forward that momentum from home and into the away game.
Yeah, Glasgow are in a funny position because I think they're guaranteed to finish fourth. Even if they were to win the game, they'd still be fourth, and they've got a big European semi-final coming up, so that might be a little soft underbelly for Connacht to climb in really hard next Saturday.
Yeah, we haven't talked about that at all. I think we know how hard it is to go to Glasgow. I actually don't think I've ever won in Glasgow my whole career, so I think we know how tough it is to go over there and win it. It's the one place I don't think I've ever won, so it'd be nice to tick that off.
So do we going to commentate on it. It's not a place that's been very lucky. Tell me about, it's a big change, but going to Bristol's must be exciting. Meet up with Pat Lam again. Obviously, John Muldoon's coming this way to start working from Bristol, but that's going to be an interesting challenge as well.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I think at this stage of my career, it's something new for me. So it's a new challenge. It puts me out of my comfort zone a bit. So it's something that I think I need going forward to finish off my career, and hopefully I can go over there and rip into it and hopefully play as best as I can.
It's potential from around about the 30th of November that you could play for England if you were put down as an English player, which they may well do so that you're not an overseas player. England are a bit short of scrum halves at the moment. Do you think they might be looking around? Is that a possibility? Or not so much you, but the England management might be going, hello, this guy's playing well for Bristol.
I think my main aim is to just go over there and play as best as I can, and I guess we'll just come to that if it ever comes to it.
Yeah, well, I think it might. I think it might just come to it because the call might come. Enjoy the rest of the season. Thanks very much for talking to us, and good luck with the future.
Cheers. Thank you very much.
Okay, that was the voice of Andy Friend and Kieran Marmion. We're in the press room. I've got Dave, Danny, Lindley, and I'm not sure if William will join us. He's looking very pensive and busy down there, but he might join us as well. Dave, your thoughts? That was a heck of a win in the end.
It was looking like we were going to do the traditional Connacht, why make things easy on themselves when they've got fans to put through the ringer, and they did. It was better. I don't think it was as good as Edinburgh. It couldn't be any worse than Treviso, and we got what we needed to do because the gauntlet had been thrown down by everybody else. The only team below us that hadn't got a victory was Treviso, and they had a difficult task. But then when you're coming into the game and just before it you find out the Munster have got a 5-point bonus win, you're thinking, right, that gauntlet is thrown down. So we are now in 6th place. It's up to us. We'll know what we have to do. All we have to do is match what the other two teams do below us. Now, if they get 5 points, we're going to Glasgow and need to get 5 points. But we'll know. We'll know going onto the pitch what we have to do. Whether we're up to the task, I don't know. But you'd be more optimistic after the last 2 home games. It was also, they could have gone into their shells and after what happened in Treviso, but they didn't. Players stood up. Was it perfect? No, but it was 5 points, and that's all we could ask for.
It certainly was, and Danny, they can still finish 5th depending on what happens with the Munster game, but a win next week does guarantee them 6th place.
Yes, it's win. Doesn't matter what anybody else does. Control what you can control. Go and win the match. Yes, it's a tough place for Connacht to go, as you'll hear from Marmion. He hasn't won over there, so there's going to be a good few players that are going to look to try and get a win over there. And look, Glasgow can't. I'm pretty sure Glasgow can't drop. Maybe if Munster do, they can't. So maybe Glasgow might do us a favour. But even if they don't, Connacht have to be going over and playing like they do here. There's no reason not to. Andy was asked a question about the pitch, and he commented about how fast they can play, how they're so used to it. Glasgow have a similar style pitch. I'd be expecting a similar kind of performance because in Benetton they look slow. Again, here tonight, it looked very back like the Edinburgh game where it was just bounce up, working hard. You want to see that in Glasgow.
You certainly do. Lindley, I was pretty vocal about the fact that I didn't think Bundy should have been picked tonight because I didn't think he was playing well enough. But we got the form is temporary and class is permanent because Bundy was excellent tonight.
I think he did enough to justify his position on the team. I don't think he did anything extraordinary, but but at the same time, you know, he was solid, and you know, obviously he needed to do that, and I would hope that he would continue to be like that as we go into these vital matches.
Certainly do. What do you reckon, William? Is there we don't really want to be going to South Africa next for a game of whatever about playing against Leinster. We definitely want to make sure we get Champions Cup next year.
Yeah, I think if they don't get Champions Cup, it'll be quite disappointing from where the season has gone. But you know that could happen, and if it does, they just have to attack the Challenge Cup with a bit more vigour. And they did attack it this year for 3 games, and then it all got really messy. And the last 2 games won't to be forgotten about. I think Glasgow are in a really tricky place next week. They scraped past Scarlets last night in a monsoon in Glasgow, 12-9. They go to Scarlets the week after they play us in a European semi-final. They've never been in a European semi-final, and a Scottish team has never been in a European final. They, I think, will be focusing almost exclusively on that, simply because if they beat Connacht, they stay 4th, and if they lose to Connacht, they stay 4th. Yeah. And if Connacht are given the opportunity to take on an understrength side, you would think you rest as many players as you can for a semi-final away. They have to seize that. They've got to give up some of the issues they have travelling, and they have to say to themselves, this game is fully winnable, and it would get them into 6th, and that would get them a trip to Belfast, more than likely. Although the Stormers today, not so sure now. They fair play. Look, Munster and Leinster went down there and did what Connacht couldn't do. They won games in South Africa. Leinster playing a bunch of kids, some of whom I would struggle to know who they were. Obviously, Sam Prendergast had a good game. And the Stormers, as they've shown all season, a bit flaky at times. And like a lot of South African teams, they don't see out games. I don't know what happens. Their bench comes on and they seem to get into bother from around about the 70th minute. And
I don't think they're used to teams fighting back. Like in Super Rugby, once a team gets a couple of scores up, that's the end of the game from the bits I've watched. And I don't watch a huge amount of it, but they don't seem to understand the fact that in the Northern Hemisphere, teams will fight to the very end, and especially teams like Munster. Yeah,
that's a fair point. Because it's a bit like basketball. Once a team gets X points ahead, you go, okay, we're not going to win today. That's something they'll be working on. I can imagine that they are going to be very sick about that, and what they don't want is to lose the home quarter-final and semi-final. If they finish third, we might still have to go and play them, but they'll have really lost the advantage. Yeah. And the one thing I do have to say is the fact that we could have a side like Cardiff. They could finish 11th and will be in the Champions Cup, and that is absolutely unacceptable, and it needs to be finished after this season. It's a nonsense. It's a meritocracy. If that's 4 Irish and 4 South African, tough. If it's
there's a Glasgow in there as well, so
absolutely. But it has to be your top 8.
Yes, I agree.
And if it's blocked off by 2 countries at some stage, well, just get better. That's the thing. Glasgow deserve their place. Cardiff don't.
I agree.
And it wasn't so long ago that all the other Irish provinces were kept saying to Connacht, "Oh yeah, go on and get in on your own merit." Now Connacht are showing that they can, and they're getting screwed by the competition.
Well, not yet. Hopefully it won't matter and we won't be talking about it. It'll be the South Africans who'll be complaining about it.
Somebody's going to mess over. There's a damn fine team that's going to be knocked out of the Champions Cup. Theoretically, 2 of them could, because the Scarlets win or Treviso win, then the next team down goes down. And if that's 2 South African teams, watch a certain amount of animal product hit a certain rotating cooling device.
Absolutely.
I'm going to spin my old argument here. The reason that we went to do that weird tour in South Africa, the Emerging Ireland tour, which caused a huge amount of angst for everybody, even including Leinster, although they have about, I don't know, however number 100 players they have. I believe, and I was told in South Africa, that was part of getting them on side to make absolutely certain that the next vote, Ireland and South Africa would vote against this non-meritocracy proposal. I don't know whether that's true. It came from 2 sources down there, and I think that was potentially some of the background politics. It's just a shame that somebody will lose out.
Okay, let's go back to tonight, because the other major thing about tonight, that was the last game in the Sports Grand for Andy Friend, Deval Senecal, Mossy Lawler. Then you had all the players, including Kieran. Thankfully, we get to talk to Kieran there. But you've got the likes of Alex Wotton, who brought his brand new baby along the track. Everyone was, certainly all the women were swooning over this tiny little baby. Can't be more than a couple of weeks old. And Shane Delahunt, the likes, guys and Conor Fitzgerald. It's great that we got the win and we were able to send them off like that. But it's awfully sad, Lindley, to see some of these players disappearing.
I suppose it depends whether some of those players wanted to go or whether they've all been forced to go. And I think there's a complete difference in possibly the way that they're leaving the province. A lot of those players have put huge amounts of effort in their life, into this club. And I know for a fact that Kieran Marmion would not have left here had he been given a contract that was longer than 1 year. And, this has been his club and his home for so long, and he's won his Irish caps here. And I can't imagine at his age why he would want to go somewhere else, but I'm delighted that someone like Pat Lam has actually taken him on under his wing and given him an opportunity over in Bristol, where he's at least going to be with some familiar people. And even chatting to him tonight, the fact that his brother Liam, his twin brother, came over to live with him and is, now working here. And as he says himself, we know that his mum lives in Wales, and we know that his father's passed away. So he's obviously very close to Liam, and as a result, now he's actually going to, he's going to be leaving his brother, who he's, obviously very close to. So I think there are some people are moving on for their own desires, to want to go on and do other things, or some of them may not want to be leaving at all. And I think you have to feel sorry for some of those players who, because of circumstances, they may be not staying here, circumstances possibly not, of their own making. It's just the fact that numbers obviously have to be reduced here, and I think that's sad for some of them, but unfortunately that's just that's just professional rugby.
It is. It's professional rugby. So we won't talk about Andy leaving yet, because we still have at least 2 games, hopefully more, and we have plenty of time to talk about Andy and Devault and Mossy. I think we should leave that till a later stage. But to finish off tonight, the one thing I was most surprising thing about tonight was I thought Bundy played well, but I didn't think he was the man of the match. I think Conor Oliver was outstanding tonight, and there was other players. Niall Murray was fantastic.
It was a pack-driven thing. They were absolutely brilliant in that first half, because, I mean, the big thing we had all said was, oh my God, look at the Jacklers, and they left Turnbull on the bench to come on. You're thinking, oh my God, these guys are going for it. I think they got one. I don't think the referee was somebody who allowed jackling to happen. Cardiff, take note. But yeah, I thought the boys dealt with it really well. I thought Conor Oliver has got. He's still abrasive. He's not somebody. I'd rather have him on my side than the other side. But he's no longer being. I'm going to use a phrase. If he hears this, he may not like gormless. He's not doing silly things. He's not doing daft things as much. He was unlucky to get the yellow card. It was just he happened to be the guy pinged by Ben Wiles. He has been superb since Christmas. Niall Murray is always brilliant. But I tell you, a player who has improved immeasurably and again has stopped being gormless is Dylan Tierney-Martin. He's not making those mistakes he was making. He's not giving away the silly penalties. They still happen, but I think, and especially in terms of the line, that line out is functioning brilliantly. And more importantly, because it's functioning brilliantly, you see something where an international hooker overthrows these guys 3 times in the 22.
Yes, that was kind of hilarious, William. And it like the defensive set in that first 10 minutes of the second half was better than all the attacking stuff we did. Because they give the likes of Jeremy Kilgallen, I thought, was tremendous, both in attack and defence. But that defensive set was incredible.
Yeah, it was huge, and Cardiff got fed up with it in the end. You could tell that it was getting into their heads because they were trying stuff, and there was players waving their arms around and shouting because they wanted them to try something else, but they couldn't, and they were driven back and back and back. One thing, if you're watching the game again, have a look at Tierney-Martin's drive over try. Watch how clever he is. He comes and he thinks about going off the side. He has a look. He takes a step back. He doesn't undetach. And the player who comes in to clear out is Tom Daly, who was on at the time for Bundyaki for a HIA. And what Daly does is he clears the path for him. He comes tearing up. Just a really clever bit of play by Dylan to actually not go. He had a look, changed his mind, and in comes Daly, and it's done. And it's little small things like that are starting to improve.
At home, we're incredible.
That's the problem. That is one thing they have to discuss, and I'm sure the brains trust here for next season, all the coaches and John Muldoon coming in, is they're going to have to look at this and say, okay, 2 issues. Interprovincials, we struggle in, but why do we go away a lot of the time and play really poorly? Newcastle, 21 points down in 18 minutes, and Benetton. What's the issue? And they have to find a way to fix it, because you can't keep doing it. And next year, for example, the away trip in Italy will not be Zebra, it'll be Benetton. And in Wales, I think it'll be Cardiff and Ospreys, I think. So that changes. Yeah. So they've got to get. That's an issue for them. I think it's there. They don't want to discuss it. We'll see next Saturday. Big chance.
Well, I was going to say, Lindley, in order for them to have any chance of winning, they have to win away from home from now on. There's no home games left.
Yes. And
what do you think? Why do you think that they can play like that and perform like that and have the work ethic and the work rate here, and they can't seem to even get... There's just no comparison between when they're here and when they're away from home.
That's because they're at home, and I think it makes. I think everyone loves playing at home. That's the whole point about being at home, because it gives you that extra 10%, possibly, or even more. In the case tonight, I'd say probably 30%. I mean, it was an amazing crowd tonight, and obviously players feed off that. But it's also about maturity in some of these players, and I think some of these players are now becoming more mature, and I think. You've got a lot of those younger players who came in, like, the Prendergast, Ken Prendergast, etc. They're maturing, and also remember that it's taken some of the time for the Connor Olivers, etc., to fit into this team. I mean, we're kind of a disparate sort of group of players in many ways, so trying to mould those, and I think they've done a fantastic job this year in doing that, but so. Going away from home is always difficult. That's the whole purpose of people wanting to play at home. It's how you adapt to it. And yes, I think there's a lot more, maturity about the side than there has been. There's obviously been a lot more, lessons possibly in the classroom and discipline built into them. I think there's a lot more cohesion in the way that they actually play their game now, and a lot more cohesion possibly from Devault, Senegal and the forwards, and the way that they are to approach parts of the game. And I think that has all made a huge difference to them.
It certainly is. Okay, Danny and Dave, I'll let you guys finish off with who would you have picked as your player of the match rather than a back? I think Dave's right. I think it should be one of the forwards.
For me, it was Josh Murphy. Just his work rate, I'm not sure if he missed any tackles, but he was making hits in the middle of the field, the side of the field, everywhere. He was just all over Cardiff, and he was
He's an angry man.
Very angry man. I think a Cardiff player was holding on to him. I thought he was going to kick him in the head. He was just yanked his foot free, and it was very violent. But
safe.
Safe. But he was making sure the Cardiff player knew that not to do it again. But he just brings an extra bit of dog that the Connacht pack seemed to be missing in the last couple of seasons, and it really showed tonight, because it really, really wound up them massively. You could see it around 60 minutes. You could see their pack just getting really frustrated, starting just little things off the ball and things. And Murphy loves that kind of thing, as well as Tierney Martin and Oliver.
Yeah. We'll leave it. Final word to the Welsh expert, Dave.
Dear Wales, sometimes it is your fault.
Loose, cut it loose. Break out, or nothing changes. Sad and confused. Don't wait until